Hey guys, so welcome to this kind of Paranormal Monday. So as you know, I have been fascinated by the paranormal since a really young age. I love seeking out paranormal experiences. Just recently, my parents and I stayed at the Franklin Hotel in Deadwood. Nothing, I know. We did some EVP sessions. Didn't really capture anything. I think I captured what looks like a little boy in a window, which that's how I'm always seeming to capture stuff, is in reflections, mirrors, windows, I don't know. But that does not mean that my life is void of paranormal happenings. So I think maybe in a previous video I talked about that the convenience store I worked for almost 9 years, the one I worked at in Wyoming, was very haunted. I had tons of stuff happen at that store. If I have not gotten into that, maybe I will make a video about that. Just kind of detailing the stuff I experienced in that store, which was a lot. But anyway, I don't know what it is, but I have never lived anywhere haunted. Our apartment here, so not haunted. Like, it is so void of activity, it's ridiculous. Yeah, nowhere I have lived has ever been haunted. But I tend to work places that are haunted, and my current job is no exception. So I have talked in a previous video that I work with children. I'm basically like I don't know, like me and my team are like these kids' secondary parents. Like, we take care of them, we keep a schedule for them, get them to dinner, teeth brushing, bedtimes. On weekends we do wake ups and we're with them all day. So I mean, we're very involved in these kids' life. We're there till 10 o'clock, 4 days a week. So, and I mean, our bedtimes are earlier than that, so usually for like the last hour from like 9 to 10, we're just sitting on bedtimes, just keeping an eye on the bedrooms. And so, I mean, it's dark, it's quiet, we're just sitting there. But yes, so where I work is incredibly haunted. Most of the time now, what I've noticed, it's only usually at night on bedtimes that we experience stuff, but I have experienced stuff in broad daylight as well. So one time we had a kid who needed a break and was sitting out kind of like in the like dining room area, and he was just sitting at the table by himself, and I was kind of standing between the dining room and the living room, and I noticed that he seemed to be getting really worked up, which he had previously been fine a minute or two ago. And he kept kind of like looking up, like shooting looks at a different chair that was at the table. And so finally I asked him, I was like, hey, like, are you okay? And he looked up at me and he was like, she will not stop staring at me. And like, I looked at him and I looked around and I was like, who? And he looked around the table and his face went white. And he was like, nothing, never mind. Like, he realized all of a sudden there was no one sitting at the table with him, where I'm guessing a moment previously someone had been sitting at the table with him that he could see. So another time I was in actually like the same spot, but a kid had gone to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I thought it was my coworker who was like outside with a group of kids, but they were nowhere near the house. So I hear this male voice go, "Get out! and the kid that was in the bathroom comes just tearing out of the bathroom, terrified. And I was like, what's going on? He was like, nothing, and just went and sat down. And I was like, okay. And I waited for that coworker, I thought I'd said that, to come inside, and they never did. Another time I was sitting up on bedtimes and just kind of, like, not the corner of my eye, but just like off to the side of where I was staring, I see this tall, dark figure standing in the doorway off to my right. And by the time I refocused, it was gone. A couple minutes later, one of my girls got out of bed, asked to use the bathroom, so she went. As she was coming back into her room, and I mean, this is 2 minutes after I saw the figure, she goes to go in her room, and she stops in the doorway and is just staring. And I was like, what's going on? And she's like, I saw a dark figure standing in my room. And I was like, good night, go to bed. I reassured her, I checked, and there wasn't anything in there at the moment. So that was kind of a cool validation, because I knew I had seen it. And then 2 minutes later, one of my kids saw the same thing. So another night I was sitting up on bed, well, actually not even just on bedtimes. I had worked all day. One of our night shift people had called in, so I volunteered to stay and work the overnight shift. So it was about like 2-something in the morning, and it's me and the other overnight staff down the hallway to the left. And I'm sitting there, and I'm at the top of the stairs, and I'm just sitting there. I think I was reading, and I suddenly realize I can hear a conversation going on down in the living room. Now, it was literally just me and this night staff upstairs with our sleeping children. There was no one down in the living room. But I could hear, not what the conversation was, but I could hear a full-on conversation going on down in the living room. And I was just like, okay, and just like went back to my book, like nothing I could do about it. So a few months ago I ended up getting moved to a different building. So our layout completely changed. It's not the same place as those other experiences. But oh man, the stuff happened after, not even just after the kids go to bed, but mostly after kids go to bed. But we have had like things fly off of counters and all kinds of stuff. But this happened just a couple weeks ago. One of our kids was getting discharged, going home, and some staff had left a pile of boxes in his chair in the living room so that he could pack. And so I was like, well, I'll go put this stack of boxes in his room so that when he gets here, he can just pack. So I was alone on the unit, and I'm carrying this pile of boxes, and being me, ever gracious as I am, I accidentally bump into the doorway of the room I'm entering, and boxes fall over, and from off to my left, in the very like clear but distant, but still like sounds like it's close to you voice that if you've gone through enough stuff you associate with spirits. So in this voice I hear a woman say, "Are you okay?" And I was like, okay. So I go and I set the boxes down, and I go back into the living room, and the unit is still empty. My coworker walks back onto the unit a minute or two later, and I was like, "Did you ask me if I was okay?" And she just looked at me like I was crazy, and I told her what happened, and she was like, "Nope, nope, nope," because she is so not okay with the stuff that goes on at work. Which one of my later stories makes it really funny. So, there's this one bedroom in like our back hall, which is mainly where I sit on bedtimes, where you'll look in and the kids have this like big, like I'd call it a wardrobe, like it's a big 2-door thing that the doors open out. You can put clothes in there, toys, whatever. So in this particular room that we have a lot of the activity, you'll be sitting there, you'll look in the room, the wardrobe door will be closed. A few minutes later, you'll come back around, you'll look in there, and the wardrobe door is open. Now these are, I mean, they're not lightweight wardrobes, they're pretty heavy, so when they open, you can hear them. So yeah, occasionally you'll just look in and the wardrobe door will just be open when it wasn't a minute ago and no one has gotten out of bed. Nothing. So in the room across the hall from that one evening I had kids like grabbing PJs, and one kid was in the room, he was grabbing PJs out of a dresser drawer and from the big wardrobe inside their room, and I was standing like right next to it. From inside the wardrobe, there's just this big bang, like someone was in there and just threw their fist against the side of the wardrobe. And like the kid and I like look at each other, and I was just like, and he proceeds to very quickly get his PJs and leave the room. Like there was no possible explanation for what that was. It was very clearly a big bang that came from inside the wardrobe, and there were no other people in that room. So my last story I have to tell you, because that's all I can think of for right now. I'll have to tell more stories as they happen. So like a month ago, my coworker, who does not appreciate paranormal things, we were sitting in the back hallway. She was sitting at the very end of the hallway, right next to the bathroom door, which sits at the very end of the hallway. And I was sitting right across from her, next to this room that has all this activity. So I'm sitting there, and for, I'd say, a good 15 minutes straight, I kept hearing someone walking around in the room. And I mean, there's kids in the room sleeping, but I mean, they've been asleep for quite a while now. And the floor is like linoleum. And I mean, you know that sound when someone's walking around on a linoleum floor. But like every couple minutes, I would just hear like someone take like 2 steps across the floor. And then nothing else. But it kept happening for like 15 minutes. So I turn to my coworker and I tell her, hey, I've been hearing footsteps in this room for like 15 minutes. And she starts to freak out. She's like, nope, nope, nope. And I kid you not, oh my goodness, it was so amazing to experience this. The bathroom door behind her that had been sitting open like, you know, a couple inches, slammed shut. And she was like, nope. And she was out, and she has not sat on back bedtimes since. Like, that's my area now. I sit back there and watch kids. She sits up front. Like, that was it for her. She was done. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy the stuff we experience at my work. It's very fun for me and not fun for others. Yeah, that back bathroom where the door slams shut, like, you constantly hear, I mean, everyone's been asleep for a while. You're just sitting back there with these sleeping kids, and you'll hear someone like lift the toilet lid and set it down. It has like a stall like you would find in a public restroom in it, and you'll hear someone like pushing the lock back and forth. Like, it's crazy the stuff that goes on. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love that I work somewhere that is haunted, because I guess I'm just that kind of person where, like, I feel like I need it in my life, but I don't necessarily want it at home. Like, I feel like that would be going too far. Like, I don't necessarily want to live anywhere that's haunted, but I love working somewhere that's haunted. It has never followed me home. I do not have issues with that. It seems very grounded where it's at. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, this is all true. This is all stuff I've witnessed at work over the last year and a half. I guess we'll just see what comes next. So, alright, I love you guys so much, and I will see you later.